Hello and welcome back to the latest episode of Talk Data to Me. I am your host, Shahada Muhammad, and we're going to get into some things. Now, as you can see from the episode's title, it is called Who Owns AI Infrastructure? Who actually owns it? Not ChatGPT, not Gemini, not the robots, not the apps. I'm specifically speaking about the infrastructure underneath AI, the data centers, the power plants, the electrical grid, the fiber networks, the cooling systems. Because while most of us are arguing about prompts and chatbots, some of the largest companies on earth are quietly building the highways that AI will run on. Now, if you're new to this podcast, welcome. Thank you so much for listening in. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for listening. As I stated in my previous episode, the future, AI, there will be some changes to the format within the next couple of weeks. I do hope that you will continue to listen and will find value in the other things that I'm talking about. Stick around for what you want and move on for the rest is what I say if that's not your thing. But make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ownership. Comment ownership. If you make it to the end of that, if you made it this far in the episode, comment ownership. All right, so let's get back into it. So one company is in the middle of all of it, and that is BlackRock. And there's a lot that can be said about BlackRock. So let's talk data, right? Recently, BlackRock hosted an AI infrastructure summit in Washington, D.C. Now, the conversation was not about creating the next chatbot. It was about something much bigger. How do we build enough infrastructure to support an AI-powered future? Think about it. Every AI image, video, chatbot response, AI-generated song, they all require massive amounts of computing power. This is how quantum computing comes into play. All of that ties into the infrastructure. How can we power infrastructure on a global scale? Anyway, that aside, computing power requires physical infrastructure. The cloud isn't floating in the sky per se. The cloud lives inside buildings, huge buildings filled with servers, powered by electricity, connected by fire, cooled by industrial systems. Now, AI doesn't run on magic, okay? AI runs on infrastructure. It needs the infrastructure, and that's where BlackRock comes in. Everybody has a part to play. I watched the World Economic Forum a couple of weeks ago, and NVIDIA's CEO really broke down the different levels to the building of the infrastructure of AI. And you don't realize how intricate a thing is until you're using, for example, the apps from AI. And you're like, man, I needed to do this, or I wish that it did this other cool feature thing too. And it's just like, I wish that it had so much more stuff built in. And what's crazy is that you'll have other platforms that can do the thing that you need, but now you have to do what's called a stack. And whatever, point aside, even in that capacity, there's so much that goes into it. Well, the reason why having an infrastructure is so important is because instead of you having to use multiple apps to do one thing with a efficient infrastructure, you can have that one system that does all things. So that's why infrastructure is massively important in anything that you are trying to build, anything that you're looking to establish. Having great infrastructure is going to save your life. So here's where things get interesting though. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager, right? We're talking more than $13 trillion under management. $13 trillion. 13 trillion. So you see how important infrastructure is. You see how important infrastructure is. The current system that the world is in, a lot of them are failing. People aren't going to school. And this is why data is so important at the end of the day, because the statistical data, in spite of your feelings to a thing, in spite of your connection to a thing, what does the numbers say? If the numbers say that the system is not doing well, you need a new system. It's as simple as that. And that's what's happening, right? They aren't approaching AI as a technology company, because initially they're not. They're an asset management company. They're approaching it as an investment opportunity. In 2026, BlackRock, Microsoft, NVIDIA, XAI, which is Elon Musk, and MGX came together through something called the AI Infrastructure Partnership. The goal? Deploy roughly $30 billion in equity investment, potentially scaling to around $100 billion when debt financing is included. 100 billion, which is less than $1 trillion, by the way. Not for apps, not for prompts, not for influencers, infrastructure. Infrastructure. We're not talking millions, we're talking billions. The physical foundation of AI. So let's make this practical. Imagine AI is a city, and there is a such thing as Woven City. Check that episode out. Most people are paying attention to the stores, the restaurants, the billboards, the entertainment, but BlackRock and its partners are buying the roads, the bridges, the power stations, the water systems, the internet cables, the stuff the city cannot function without. Because whoever owns the infrastructure doesn't just participate in the future, they help to shape it. And that's a completely different level of influence. So one thing that came out of these discussions that surprised me is that the biggest shortage isn't AI, it's people. Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, has talked about the growing need for skilled workers, electricians, HVAC technicians, construction workers, engineers, grid specialists, people capable of the physical systems required for AI expansion. So while social media keeps asking, will AI take my job? A different question is emerging now. Who will build the infrastructure AI needs? And that might be one of the biggest opportunities of this decade. So now let me bring this home, because I don't want to drone too much on infrastructure. If you're an entrepreneur, a creator, a student, or somebody trying to understand where the world is going, this is the lesson. Don't just follow the technology, follow the infrastructure, because infrastructure tells you where the money is moving. Infrastructure tells you what governments are prioritizing. And I say this every time I talk about our government. We have a president that is pro-AI, pro the building of infrastructure. One of the largest quantum computing campuses is being built in the Midwest, in Chicago, Illinois. So it is a massive, massive deal. Massive, massive deal. Infrastructure tells you what corporations are betting on. And the reason why I emphasize that too is that, people may or may not know Trump is a businessman. So when he became president, people can scream, oh, AI is terrible, AI is this, AI is that. But he invested so much money into the development of AI. It is no longer the future, it is now. In this year's World Economic Forum meeting, by 2030, life will look completely different. And it's because of AI. So, infrastructure tells you what they believe the future looks like. And right now, the money is flowing towards AI infrastructure in a historic scale. Now, today's question is simple. When people look back 10 years from now, will they remember ChatGPT? Probably. Will they remember Gemini? Strong, maybe. Claude, I can see, definitely before Gemini. But they'll definitely feel, here's what it is. What they'll definitely feel are the systems that were built underneath them. Looking back. The power grids, the data centers, the fiber networks, the digital infrastructure that quietly changed everyday life. So here's the dream question. Are you focused on the technology everyone can see? Or are you paying attention, to the infrastructure nobody is talking about? Because sometimes the biggest story isn't the app. It's who owns the road the app travels on. Now, again, thank you so much for listening to my podcast. If you have made it this far in the episode, I want you to comment AI. Because if this episode got you thinking differently about AI, technology, and the future we're building together, then you need to make sure that you subscribe, share, and join in on the conversation. What are your thoughts about infrastructure? How do you feel about our government investing so much money, millions of dollars, into the building of AI infrastructure? How does that make you feel as an American? And understanding we're not the only place, right? We're not the only country that's focused on building AI. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and always talk data to me.